What up? This is Two Angry Ates in connection with the International Examiner. I'm your ate, Jay Ling, and today we're with Sendai ERA, which consists of Rico and Mike. Thanks for coming down today, guys. Yeah, let's just get to it, we don't have time to waste. So, where does the name Sendai ERA come from?
I was living in a city called Sendai in Japan during college for a little period, and so my producer name was Sendai Mike.
And then my alias is ERA, which is the initials of my name. So my name is Enrico Rene Abadesco. And for the longest time I couldn't think of an MC name because I don't know. So I was like, why don't I just go with my initials, something that represents me.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I kind of wish I could go by my initials. If I did, it'll just be Jew.
or Jay Woo.
Oh, Jay Woo. Yeah, that's actually what they started calling me in church. I was like, that's not my rapper name, guys. Anyways, so how do you guys get together? Like, what made you guys want to create music together?
I was just looking for this guy's a good rapper, he's one of the best. So, you gotta work with the best people.
Right, tell the nice. He was producing at UW, and I was writing at that time. Wasn't really confident in it, but I think at that point we're like, there's not too many people producing, and there's not too many people that are really rapping, and that we feel
Rapping well.
Rapping well.
There's a million rappers.
That we felt comfortable like making music together. So, I mean, that's just kind of how it started. We were both going to school together, and we both wanted to pursue music, so kind of went with it.
Oh, that's pretty cute. So, what's your inspiration for making music? I know a lot of your EP is going to be coming out soon, and it's a lot of material to work with. It's pretty heavy. I don't know, but the tracks I love is the intro, Those Lights, and Town Nameless. So, what was the inspiration for some of those songs?
The intro was and I can't speak for the lyric writing, but the intro was a beat that I had made on a tiny synthesizer, and then it just kind of got put away for a long time until maybe 3 or 4 months later he had written something to it, so we used it. What was the other one?
Those Lights.
Okay, Those Lights. The inspiration from that song was for the production was a track by it's some guy from Europe. He made this very kind of bouncy, futuristic, and I kind of listened to that song over and over and over again for days and days on end, and then the beat for Those Lights just kind of came out of that, I think. Town Nameless, for the beat, it was definitely a producer, Sango, who influenced me. I was listening to a lot of Sango at the time when I produced that. He's probably got some more thoughtful things to say about the lyrics.
Nah, I feed off the music. So like when I write, I kind of channel the music, kind of like the canvas is there, and then I kind of try and paint how I'm feeling. As far as the intro, the whole idea of voices was like the idea of both like the internal voices in your head, all these things that you process even when you're just sitting, all these things that come up. And then also for me, like the idea of like this internalized oppression and the self-doubt that manifests. So the intro was like, it starts off, I grew up not liking just who I was. I thought I didn't have any talent. So like, where did those thoughts come from and why did I feel that way? And that's what kind of the intro kind of brings in, is like, well, why am I like bringing in this self-hate and self-love? Those lights, the songs will kind of move towards those lights. And Those Lights is kind of like saying that there are people community heads who have inspired me to write and to say, things, like past activists that have been here in Seattle, folks like Gio and Bam, like Filipino MCs who I've seen. It's really awesome to see like a role model or like someone who's done it before. You can picture yourself in those shoes, so I was like, okay, those lights is kind of a reflection of that. Like I want to do that, and I can do that. There's no reason why not. Then Town Nameless, you said. So Town Nameless is kind of cool. It came out of this frustration of like, it's a kind of this overarching thing for like teachers or students or like activists or like artists or MCs, like from the town, but doing great work, but we're nameless because no one chooses to acknowledge our names, in a sense, especially people of color, artists of color. So that's where like Town Nameless kind of came about, and that's what that song is about. It's like they try to underestimate us, but you can't because we're coming up, we're gonna take it.
Oh, that's some beautiful stuff right there. Like some of the stuff that I really love about your EP is just, it's the motifs that run through it. It's like the motif of being the underdog, the motif of internal colonization, but resisting that colonization as well. And then I think the underlying thing that comes through all of them is just this idea of hope. And how beautiful it is that hope is possible, that things can change and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I also noticed another element of your songs was just very much the Nino Brock film, Orden Pro Nobis.
Oh yeah.
It's funny because the Latin translation is pray for us, but the American translation is fight for us. What's the point of using those voiceovers from that film?
So I wanted to use a Lena Broca film, and we both wanted to use like a film in general, something to tie the songs together, and the story together, because it kind of tells like a story. We chose a Lena Broca. Well, I wanted to choose a Lena Broca film for it because it's a film that was like banned in the Philippines, and it was a way of not letting voices be heard. And the whole point of the project was to give light to these unheard voices and state that we have a voice, and also get rid of the outside voices, this internalized oppression that we have, this colonized mind that we all work with, and like try fighting that. And I wanted to represent that through a film that was banned in the Philippines, that was hella militant, that was, and even at the end, there was the interview at the end of the song was a statement by Lena Broca saying he wanted to make films the way that they wanted to make it and be represented that way, and in order to do that, free creative thinking and for the masses is to change the whole system itself. And that's like kind of the last note of the project.
Word. Yeah, it's some pretty powerful stuff right there. On the idea of being voiceless and giving voice to those that don't have it or are being suppressed by institutions and such, how do you guys feel about the lack of API representation in hip-hop?
This is a tricky one because I don't even know if there's a lack of representation or just people aren't doing it. Asians aren't really pursuing it. I think we're going to be on the first wave of, there's a lot of Asian kids right now, and I think we're going to be on the first wave of kind of hip-hop is right now spreading out through all the, culturally across all the boundaries, so I don't have anything, I don't know, you probably have something else to say about that.
I mean, even like the producing culture in Seattle, like how many Asian American producers are there in Seattle? Like at least the spaces I've been with you, it's just been you.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's. I don't know if it's just Asian people aren't pursuing it for whatever reason. I don't know why, particularly. I mean, there's a lot of great Asian DJs, but they're just not pursuing it.
Spot.
What do you think, man? I'm sure you have that's a different.
Not about producing. As far as like MCing though, like there are a lot of like MCs. I won't name them, but just like areas that I don't see myself, people like myself represented areas. Especially, I don't know, just, it's kind of hard to talk about because it's still like, not hard to talk about, it's just like I don't see too many. The last person that I've seen like really encouraged me is Artiverse in LA. He's a Filipino MC. I mean, I see Gio every once in a while, but I mean, like, out of that, like, there's not too many Asian American MCs and a community of like rappers that are like helping build up more, like build up power within that community to do it.
Interesting. So, I know we're on the topic of hip hop. Hip hop is what you guys do. I'm guessing that's also what you guys love. So, what does hip hop mean to the both of you guys?
I like hip hop, and the hip hop, like, I mean, I like all kinds of music, but I like specifically hip hop with the MC because it's the most, I think it's the most like semantically, like informationally dense form of music because there's just raw information throughout the entire song, just in the form of words, which other forms of music have that, but it's much more spread out. There's not as many words, so hip hop really has a huge potential for carrying messages, and capturing that kind of the verbal messages for whatever you're trying to do with it, and that's what really appeals to me about hip hop.
For myself, I'm quite introverted. So when I was like growing up, I didn't know how to express or like talk to other folks about how things I would be going through. So I wrote a lot, and I didn't know if I was, I just wrote for myself and I wrote on behalf of expressing my emotions. And it wasn't until I got to college and met up with Anak Bayan that really validated my own voice and validated my own artwork and cultural work. And when that happened, I wanted to write more. And a lot of the music that I was listening to at that time, especially in high school and middle school, I was looking for artists that looked like me. And at that time, that's when the Scholars dropped their first project. So then that was a really powerful message for me. And I was like, oh, well, I'm writing already. Maybe seeing that, so maybe I can do something too. Maybe I could write raps too. Maybe I could write poetry too. At that same time, like things like Isang Mahal were still at, and a lot of like Def Jam poetry. There was like hella Asian American poets there. Like, so I was like, oh, this is cool. Maybe I can do the same thing. Seeing other people's blaze a trail before me, and I think hip hop just really gravitated because I think it was also, for me, is one of the music, like sense of music and message that I could relate to the most. Like struggling through certain things and stereotypes that were happening, especially with like groups like the Native Guns at the time. Like these things, like, oh, I can relate to that. Maybe I can translate my own music or my own words in the same way.
Cool. So, last question of the day for this segment. Who are some of your biggest influences?
Producer-wise, when I first started getting into producing, it was Dilla, Premier, RZA, all that East Coast chopped samples. And but then as I kept producing, I started listening to a lot of other stuff, and now I just listen to everything. A lot of music on the internet. There's been a huge, kind of the beat scene has had a huge kind of revival in the last few years in places like LA, places in Europe, and spreading through the internet. So I've been just listening to everything now.
My writing, when I first started writing, I was copying hella Mos Def, like flows and the way that he structured his rhymes, and I studied, I didn't know I was studying, but I was studying rappers for a very long time, just breaking down the way people write, and it would probably be like Mos, probably after that, I listened to a lot of Common Market for a while. I just really liked the way that Rasayan, I don't know, it sounded really good to me. Folks like Andre 3000. And today, like, I study like really young rappers today. I really like how Chance, the rapper, has like this cool reggae sounds, and other rappers like Goldlink have this real bouncy kind of sound coming through. There's a lot of cool different ways you can write now, because it's not enough to just, as a lyricist, not enough to just say the information. How can you present it and have it be mass-lined, or have it be presentable to a lot of people? And I think that's the part that I'm really interested in now. As far as the topics that I'm writing, I'm heavily influenced by revolutionary leaders. I'm hella influenced by hella Filipino-American activists from Seattle. People like Carlos Bulusan, people like Gene Viernes, people like folks from Seattle right now, like hella unacquainted heads today that have really shaped my critical thinking on how things are. And it reflects through my music, because I can see it in everyday things. I see the contradictions of the place that we live, and I want to reflect that through the music. I mean, everyday things kind of just make its way there for me. That's the way I process the world. I don't know.
Cool. Well, that's it for this segment. I know my partner in crime will be up next. Sendai ERA will be dropping their EP Voices out on October 30th, and they'll be doing a free show out in Vermilion. Doors open at 7. Show starts at 8. Be there or be square. Alright, what's up? This is Two Angry Ates. My name's Ate Anjini, and I'm with Sendai ERA. This is part 2 of the interview. Let's see. Well, one of my questions is, since your music does focus on identity, and as like people who are invested in hip hop, not only do you get to like express yourself, but you also get to like find more about yourself. But what about for like the youth who are still facing that identity conflict and might not know where to go to? What would like your advice be for them?
Like advice? I don't know about advice, but I'd be like, just from my experiences, just as an artist, like find ways to explore those things about yourself and speak. Find people to talk to about your experiences. In safe spaces, you can talk about those experiences. I mean, your identity is something that you're gonna like learn about and explore your whole life, and it will be a struggle. And it's something that you only can define for yourself, but there's other people that can support you in that, like traveling, that thing. And for me, it was community and music and art. Yeah, I don't have advice other than just,
No, that's
find
good.
support.
I think it's hard to, I don't know if I'm qualified to be
Qualified for
No, it's
experience.
not Dr. Phil, you're good.
I think a lot of the kids these days are real at risk to like things that they perceive, the roles that they perceive themselves to kind of have to fall into, and almost like and I think that's the big I don't want to say threat, but like you know what I'm talking about, man?
Like these perceived like roles already set out.
Yeah, like kids grow up thinking that there's certain things about their identity that they have that are just, no one's put it on them, they just pick it up out of the ambience of all the information everywhere, and they just have that, and they carry these things with them that are maybe not even expectations of themselves that they have gotten in there somewhere that maybe aren't too valid, and I think it's something to be aware of growing up in this crazy day and age.
This guy's a good example. Like, he's working as an engineer but makes amazing music, and there's these boxes you put, like you're in a certain field, you can't do something else.
Yeah, so like deconstructing the stigmas, especially towards Asian American men. I feel it. Well, like another question is, so I mean, we all have these role models, especially like famous role models that are easy to look up to. But are there any role models in your personal life or events that have happened that have made you like kind of like change your mindset? That just like had something like make it like just click, like I gotta pursue this or.
For me, it would probably be both. As I got older, understanding what my parents went through, and seeing kind of the struggle they had to provide for me and the things that they'd have to move through. And a lot of that learning was also facilitated through my kasamas, support me navigate through these things while I was in college, while I was at UW. So I don't have single role models. I have a lot of role models that helped me through. But I would say my family, my grandmother in the Philippines, like not seeing them but have them really support and love us across an ocean.
The question was, people that are inspiring that
Yeah.
are not famous.
Or like anyone in your personal life.
Oh yeah,
has
yeah,
touched
yeah,
you?
yeah. I didn't have any one particular one that shifted my thinking all radically at once. I don't think, but I was very fortunate when I was young to have a lot of very good adult music teachers from the time I was very young. Like my dad got me started playing violin when I was I think 5 or 6, and then I had violin with different teachers. Some were better than others, but they all that was so important for me when I was growing up, is to have these adults teaching me music and basically validating my work as an artist. And so yeah, shout out to Stevie G, the drum teacher, Bill Kiley, band teachers, everyone, because that was definitely a constant in my life for all the way up until I got into school and started. Then that's when I started making my own music.
Yeah, I was in the high school band, but that didn't help me whatsoever. The opera flute player. Where do you guys hope to see your band in the next like 5 to 10 years? Like the impact on the community, or like take this national, internationally?
Yeah, we're gonna take it as far as we want to take it.
Word. That's as far as we think we see that we were able to and able to sustain.
To the maximum extent feasible.
And a lot of that, I mean, we can't do anything without the community as well. Like a lot of, even this first project, like we had hella people, we had no idea what we were doing.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of support from a lot of people to help navigate through this. You can't, especially in like, I guess as an artist, as a musician, like you can't, whoever says they can do it by themselves I feel like they're lying. You need a lot of people, you need a community to support you in that.
You could do it by yourself, it would just take decades.
It would take a long ass time. It would take a long time. But
It's totally possible, but yeah, just not in a timely manner. We had a lot of help in figuring out the ins and outs of how to get this done. Through a lot of trial and error, also a lot of trial and error, but also a lot of help from like the recording engineers and other people who are established and other community members. We had a lot of help and guidance, and we're very, very grateful for that.
5 to 10 years though, hopefully at the minimum, sustainable artists, like working artists, we can just make music.
Yeah.
That would be, I mean, I'd be hella happy with that.
Yeah, man.
A maximum is whatever is beyond that, what we can achieve. I don't know what that is exactly.
Well, let's see. There's a stigma with hip hop that it's like all the same kind of music, even though it's totally not. There's like totally different labels for different kinds. How would you guys label the style of yours, if you could think of like a name for it?
I'm, speaking on genres, right now we're in this period of, with so many people making music, the lines between the genres are just breaking down, and so we're starting to see genres, especially in like beat producer world, there's genres the last couple months, Does anyone remember Witch House? No, probably not. That was cool on the internet for like 6 months or something. And so I think the whole idea of with music these days, you can't even, and I can't, like, you can't be constricted to one even style or something. You gotta keep growing, and you gotta keep progressing and pushing yourself stylistically, as well as just, you know, the hard, like just the technical skill set too. But so I don't know if we could. I don't know what
No, I totally agree. Like as a lyricist and an MC, you have to find ways that are out of the norm, that you can create and mix, like use your voice as an instrument. What can you use? How could you present a great message, or how can you present your experiences in a way that people would want to listen to, especially now with information's like everywhere, and like you can just have someone's attention really quick. What can you do to change that, grab people's intentions, and be innovative? I mean that's like the heart of like MC and hip hop is like be original. Like how can you be the most hella innovative? Like what can you take from other artists and then make it something new? And just don't want to get stuck in the thing where you make the same thing over and over again.
It's definitely no longer enough just to have. It's no longer enough just to have crazy rhymes.
That's true.
Wait, one more? No, I'm chill. That's my segment. So,
Yeah.
thanks, sir. Yeah, thanks for sharing your art. It's dope.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us here.
Yeah.